This is Mir Osman Ali Khan, the last Nizam of Hyderabad. For several decades, he remained relegated to a side note in the annals of history. However, in the year 2018, a portrait of him adorning the pillars of the Hyderabad metro was unveiled. He was hailed as a forgotten hero, an architect of modern Hyderabad. But what was his contribution? Let us take a look. The Nizam was one of the wealthiest persons of the world during his time. Generations of accumulated wealth made him one. In fact, he possessed the Jacob diamond, a 185-carat diamond worth $200 million that he used as a paperweight. Though rich, he was a miser. He possessed a solid gold dinner set of 100 pieces, but ate his frugal meals off of a tin plate. His vaults contained a collection of precious jewels, but he even smoked cigarette butts left behind by his visitors. But it isn't just this that Nizam Osman Ali Khan was known for. The rule of the Nizam was characterized by intrigue, iniquity, and widespread oppression of the majority Hindu populace. The Nizam thwarted the idea of accession to India and, with the support of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, resisted joining the Indian Union. Qasim Rizvi, a local political leader and an advisor to the Nizam, encouraged him to refuse a merger. The Nizam had virtually become a puppet in the hands of Rizvi, who mobilized a fanatic militia called the Razakars. The Razakars, at the behest of the Nizam, went on a rampage, going village after village, plundering, kidnapping, and murdering people. A poem written by the Nizam goes like this: I am the protector of Islam and a butcher of Kafirs. The Nizam had around 360 women as his concubines, and most of these women were of other religions abducted in raids. He even reportedly purchased 10 to 12-year-old girls from Nuristan in Afghanistan as sex slaves. In Nizam's Hyderabad, Muslims comprised 13% of the population. However, they enjoyed 77% of the gazetted government jobs. 88% of higher-level government officers and 82% of the lower-level officials were Muslims. On the other hand, Hindus were marginalized not just in government but also in entire Hyderabad. In 1891, Hindus were 90.53% of the population. In 1911, when Osman Ali Khan came to power, Hindus were 86.15%. At the end of his reign, Hindus were reduced to just under 80%. To reduce their population, the Nizam imported 8 lakh Arab and Afghan people who were given all benefits from the state. It is these foreigners who formed a big chunk of the Nizam's army. Several thousand Yemeni Arabs who are found today in Barkas, Hyderabad, are descendants of the Nizam's armies. Even his commander-in-chief, Syed al-Idrus, was an Arab. The Nizam also encouraged forced religious conversion. In his service was a man named Siddiq Deendar who founded the Deendar movement, a group which remained active even after independence and was banned in 2007 for its involvement in bomb blasts in South India. Back in the day, Siddiq, at the behest of the Nizam, actively engaged in forced conversions. Conversions were carried out in government offices. Criminals in jails were given the option to convert and get released. Those criminals and prisoners who converted to get out from jail eventually joined to become the Razakars. K.M. Munshi, the Agent General of India, in his autobiographical account Hyderabad Memoirs, The End of an Era, states thus: under official pressure, private harassment, and threats of violence, Hindus were prevented from building or repairing a temple in any locality where Muslims resided. Hindu temples were often desecrated, but the culprits were rarely traced, never punished. Hindu religious teachers were prohibited from delivering discourses, while the Muslim divines, the members of the Ittihad and the Deendars, carried on a vigorous campaign of proselytizing the Hindus. The educational policy under the Nizam was directed at replacing Telugu with Urdu. The state-aided education could only be given through Urdu or English, and in 1950, even the option of English was replaced by Urdu in schools of the state. In the Osmania University established by the Nizam, Hindu students were forbidden from wearing dhotis and kurtas and had to wear the dress acceptable to the Muslim students. They were not allowed to celebrate Hindu festivals like Janmashtami. Students were prohibited from singing Vande Mataram, and those who sung it were forced to tender an apology or suffer rustication. This was done even in schools. About 1,200 students were expelled from the colleges and schools of Hyderabad. On the other hand, festivals like Eid, Miladun Nabi were celebrated with great fervor. The Nizam also presided over the massacres of Hindus. During the Vijayadashami in 1947, when women celebrated the Batukamma festival and boarded the train at Wadi station, they were pulled out cruelly at Gandalpur and were herded forcibly into trucks and taken to the nearby police station. In the police station, the women were disrobed, repeatedly beaten, and forced to dance. On 9th and 10th May 1948, around 2,000 Razakars descended on the Hindu village of Gorta, desecrated temples, and pulled out people from their homes and started slaughtering them. The Razakars did not even spare children and pregnant women in their rampage. The villagers of Bharanpalli, who had put up a stiff resistance against the Razakars, were butchered without mercy. Men were killed, women were raped, houses were looted, and the entire village burnt. These are just a few glimpses of the atrocities suffered by Hindus in the state of Hyderabad under the Nizam's rule. Yes, the Nizam deserves to be remembered, but not as the architect of modern Hyderabad, but as a persecutor of Hindus.